right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this morning's partnership webinar in collaboration with Monday.com. We're so excited to share this session with you and hopefully provide some actionable ways to improve fundraising and administrative operations at your organizations. If at any point you have any questions or comments, please feel free to put them in the chat. We'll also have some time at the end of the session for Q&A as well. But without further ado, I'm so excited to introduce Alexander from Monday.com.
Thank you so much, Eric. It is really great to be here with everyone. And
awesome. Yes, we're so excited. I guess we can go ahead and just jump in. I'll hand it over to you. Like I told Alex earlier, if any questions come up that are about specifically like what he's talking about, we can flag them down and see if that sparks anything. But yeah, I'll go ahead and hand it over to you, and I hope we learn everything today.
I hope so too. That's definitely my goal. So yeah, thank you so much for having us. It's really cool to be partnering with you folks. The amazing work you're doing is very cool, and good to meet an organization that's using Monday and preaching, practicing what they preach. So thanks everybody for joining today. My name is Alex. It's great to meet you all, and I'm going to be talking about what Monday.com is today, how you can get access for free, and specifically we're going to be looking today at Monday.com's fundraising tools. So we're going to be looking at donor and grant management specifically, but I want to stress right from the bat that Monday.com is a very flexible tool. Just about anything you need to do in terms of managing the work of your nonprofit can pretty much be done on Monday.com. It's a pretty flexible and customizable platform as well. And hopefully in the next hour or so, we will get a good chance to explore all of that. So let me quickly run through a couple of intro slides, and then we can take a look at the platform itself. So hopefully you can all see my screen. What do I have on my agenda? Well, I'll start with a quick introduction and then introduce what we offer you at Monday.com for nonprofits. As I said, we have a free program that's easy to apply for. I'll provide you links and a full run through of exactly how you can join us as part of our nonprofit program. We have currently 25,000 active nonprofits using our platform every single month. Most of them are paying absolutely nothing. A few of them are buying, upgrades and extra seats and stuff here and there. But about 80% of those 25,000 pay nada, nothing, zilch, zero. So I will explain how you can join them. And then, like I said, we're going to take a look, first of all, at grant management. Now, we've actually already built a template for managing grants, which makes things a lot easier. I'll show you how you can download it. It's also for free. There's no catch there. And I'll also show you how we can start to play around with it. So once we've downloaded it, I'll show you how we can customize it, because as good as a template is, it's not likely to do 100% of the things that you need it to do. And that's why Monday's a really easy to customize and adapt program. I know there are a lot of, CRMs and project management tools that are very rigid. I'm not going to name any names, but Salesforce doesn't allow you just to change your column names, right? What you've got is what you've got. Here, things are much easier to play around with. And the real fun of working with Monday is automating things. So I will show you how you can add automations to free up the time that you're spending on manual work so that you can go and do the more important human-to-human stuff and let the robots do the stuff that's repetitive and that can be automated. So I'll show you how we can add a couple of those. And then we'll finish up by looking at donor management. I'll show you how you can upload data into Monday. That's something that people are often very concerned about, especially when getting started. It means you've come from somewhere else, whether it's a different platform or maybe you're working in a spreadsheet and you want to bring in what you've already got. It's very easy to do that at Monday. And I'll also show you how you can integrate Monday.com. We integrate with dozens and dozens of different software. I'll show you one example, integrating with emails so that we can send emails from directly within Monday. But you can also integrate Monday with all sorts of other tools as well. This is just going to be one little example to give you a flavor of what is possible. Cool. So officially, nice to meet you. My name is Alex, or Alexander. I'm a nonprofit success manager at Monday.com. I've been in the role for about 3.5 years, but I do come from the world of nonprofits. I've been in many roles, volunteering and adjacent to nonprofits and in nonprofits in a couple of different countries around the world. And I think that this experience allows me to see, first of all, how amazing nonprofits are. I think that, nonprofit people are the best people, all, having an amazing impact and trying to change the world in positive ways. So first of all, thank you for the work you're all doing. But I've also seen firsthand the challenges nonprofit people face, usually trying to do way more work than is physically possible for one person, without the right resources, and often without enough compensation and all those kind of things. So I'm sure there are many of you in the call today who are wearing many different hats and trying to juggle lots of different things. So it's my job to try and help alleviate some of those stresses. And even if we're only making your day 5 or 10% easier, that's already a win. And hopefully we can make things a lot smoother than that along the way. Most of my work is leading public scalable training, so big trainings that are open to anybody who wants to join. But occasionally I get to do these more intimate sessions with partners. So I'm really happy to be working with Haven today. It's really cool to be partnering with them. And I've also led a couple of more deep implementations for some of the organizations you see on screen. And fun fact, I'm a proud new dad, just came back from a couple of weeks off for paternity leave. So that's a little bit about me. Okay, but probably of more interest is what we offer for nonprofits. So I will paste a link in the chat here of the StreamYard so that you can create your free account. You click on that link, you will be brought to our main landing page where you can get started and create your account. Everything you need to know about what Monday.com for nonprofits is at that page, monday.com/nonprofits. And I'm going to skip ahead from the account creation part because that's a very simple process. It takes just a couple of minutes and gives you a 2-week free trial. So you could be anyone, a small nonprofit or a huge multinational corporation, and you get 2 weeks to explore Monday for free. After 2 weeks, most people have to pick a paid plan, right? There's different tiers of service at Monday. You can choose how much you want to spend versus how much you want to receive. Of course, if you're a nonprofit, you do not have to pick a paid plan. You can come to our eligibility tab here. So this is, I guess, like step 2, and you can apply to join the nonprofit program. There are some eligibility criteria, but it's pretty broad, and we've tried to make it open to as many nonprofits as possible. But if you want to check the criteria, you can read them on this page. And then you can click here on Apply Now to have your existing account join the nonprofit program. So again, step 1 is to click on the link I shared in the chat to visit monday.com/nonprofits and open your account. And then at any point, you can complete step 2 by visiting this page, the eligibility tab along the top here, and you can apply to have that account join the nonprofit program, which is free forever. You can do that application right away if you want to, or you can do it after the 2 weeks have expired, right? You won't be able to access your Monday account until you've completed this process, but it's not a problem if the account is expired. We don't delete any data. It will be kind of revived after that. And even if maybe some of you out there are already using Monday, maybe you're paying and you didn't know we had a nonprofit program, you can still apply and we can still convert paying accounts onto the nonprofit program. What specifically do you receive? So by default, it'll be number 1 here, where you receive 10 seats for free. So you and 9 colleagues can all use Monday.com without paying anything. We don't require a credit card or a deposit, or it really is free. I know it sometimes sounds too good to be true. And that's not a made-up number. We did a bit of an analysis before we launched the nonprofit program and found that about 80% of nonprofits worldwide have up to 10 people working in them. So we wanted to make sure that price wasn't a barrier for most nonprofits to be able to enter the program. So we offer 10 seats for free. Now, if you're a bigger organization, you might want to buy extra seats. That's completely fine. You get a huge discount, 70%. Sometimes people mishear my accent and think I'm saying 17. No, 70. You heard correctly, 70% discount. And all of that is at the Pro tier. Pro is the second highest sort of level of Monday.com. It's super robust and allows you to do almost everything. If you're trying to manage fundraising stuff, it gives you an unlimited number of donations, an unlimited number of grants, an unlimited number of donors, unlimited number of connections, but also an unlimited number of tasks and projects and events and volunteers and anything else you might want to be managing. There are admittedly a couple of features which are only available on the enterprise plan. If you need those features, you can also upgrade to the enterprise plan with a nice discount. That's the highest tier, the only one above Pro. I'll be perfectly honest though, 99% of our 25,000 nonprofits are here. So you may need to upgrade, but probably the completely free plan will be fine for you. I'm not a very good salesperson. Don't spend money, get involved in the free plan. One more time, I'll repeat it. Step 1, click on the link to create your account. And then at any point, complete step 2, come over here and apply to have it join the nonprofit program. If there are any questions about the nonprofit program, the offering, the application process, please feel free to put them in the chat. And what we'll do at the end of the session, we'll do a little Q&A for 10 or 15 minutes or so, and I'll try and run through any questions that you have. But truly, it's a very simple process. Creating your account takes about 5 minutes. Applying to have it join the nonprofit program takes about 5 minutes. You could be set up and working for free, by the end of the day, truly, if everything works out smoothly. So it's a pretty cool offer. I really do endorse it, as do 25,000 others. And I really hope you join us. So get started whenever you're ready. Okay, so that's the little pitch of what the nonprofit program is. But what can you actually do on this platform called Monday.com? This is all very well and good, but you're probably wondering, show me how it actually works. And I would love to do that now. So hopefully you can now see my Monday.com screen. And this is how the platform looks. So I am here in my Monday account, and I've created a new workspace that I've called the Haven workspace. Okay, so you can have as many workspaces as you want to. It's just an organizational tool, right? It's like your filing cabinet. But you can control within a workspace, for example, who has permission to see and view things. Basically, at every level in Monday, you control who sees and who can do what. You can control it at the workspace level. You can control individual boards. You can even control individual columns on a board. So if you've got a budget board and you want people to be able to collaborate, you can restrict who can, change the number column, but they can all still work there. So you have ultimate control over exactly what people are seeing and doing in Monday if you are the admin. And of course, it goes without saying, but all of the data that you upload to Monday, anything you're working on here is entirely private. It's completely, owned by you. We don't have any access to your data. Even if I log into our back-end system to see like account statistics, I can't see any of your boards. It's completely private. It's not like, social media or something where you upload a photo to Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg owns it. No, we don't see your data. We can't access it. It's completely private, and we're abiding by all the strictest data privacy rules. So within this workspace, I'm then going to start adding some new elements. Now I could add a brand new board, and that's a perfectly fine way to work. You can add a new board. In fact, let's just do one new board as a test board. Okay, I'm going to make it a main board so everyone in my account can see it. And you'll just see how a pretty blank board looks, right? They're going to throw in a couple of columns, a person column, a status column, a date column, a couple of groups. But this is like an almost empty board with just a couple of things to help me get started. Now, you are perfectly entitled to build a board and start working like this. But I think a great little hack is to start with a template. So I'm going to add here another thing to my workspace. You can see there are tons of different elements we could choose from. Monday has docs and forms and all sorts of fun things. But in today's session, we're going to focus, like we said, on grants and donors. So I'm going to come to the Template Center and check out what they have for managing grants and donors. Now, you'll see straight away a couple of templates which are probably pretty relevant. The system knows I'm on a nonprofit account, so it suggests for me nonprofit templates. Pretty logical. But all of these template categories that you see down here are also available to you for free. Even if you're on the nonprofit program, you're probably going to be managing projects, let's say. So come to the project management category, where you can see another dozen templates here. You can download as many of these as you want, as many times as you want. As soon as they're downloaded, they're yours. So you can, put in your own data, make changes, customize them, whatever you need to do. Of course, we're going to focus on the nonprofit category. And like I said, we'll start off with the grants management template. So to download it, very simple, give it a click and then say use template. You can see that 12,500 other people have downloaded this fella already. It'll take just a second to put all the elements together and download it into my account. Here we go. So we can see, let's start over on the left-hand menu, that it's kind of packaged neatly together in a folder. Okay, so I've got the grants management folder. That'll just help to keep things organized. And then there are four sort of pieces inside the folder. The main piece is our grants pipeline. And this pipeline is made up of two boards, active and submitted. But of course, if you want to customize that, you can. Maybe you want to add another group for grants awarded, and another one for grants that you didn't win. It's pretty logical flow. We tried to keep it simple in the template, but you can see how easy it is to add these extra steps. You may also want to customize things like the color. You follow the logic of a traffic light. Grants awarded is sort of the positive one, so it's green. Grants declined is sort of the negative one, so we'll change the color of that to something red. Okay, all customizable. You can reorder things and play around with that however you want to. Then we enter in the name of the grant, some basic information about it, and then this is the board where we can actually track the work that we're doing in order to apply for this grant on time. Now, grant management has become probably harder than ever before. I know there are so many federal agencies and stuff that have had massive cuts. So you really want to make sure that the grants you are applying for, you are completely on top of, right? You don't want to miss any deadlines. You want to make sure that everything is being hit. So having a system like this can be a big, big help. We will take a deeper look. I'll add a grant in just a second. But before we do that, let's just finish looking at these other elements. We have the grant providers board next. So this is where you can list the organizations or foundations who are working with you, like you're applying to organization name 1 for grant name 2, right? This is the provider of the grant, and there's some contact information here. This is great if you're applying to the same foundation or organization for many, many grants. Maybe you're applying every single year to the same grant. You can tie them back to that same organization so that if there's institutional knowledge and history you want to tap into, right? You're a new member of the team and you want to see what they did last year before you joined, you can check that out here, which is really convenient. And then we have a grants dashboard. It's got a different little logo here. You can add as many dashboards and as many boards as you want. And what a dashboard does is it's basically your reporting tool. So a dashboard in Monday can connect to multiple other boards. At the moment, it's just connected to the pipeline, but again, you could play with that and add more connections here. And then you can add widgets, for example, charts, calendar, graphs. These are all examples of widgets. You can have up to 30 widgets on a dashboard, and these are pulling out insights from your data to give you a nice, clear report of what's going on. The final element is a doc. Now, you're probably familiar with Google Docs. This works very much the same way, but there's actually so much more you can do with one of these Monday docs because you can embed, for example, videos. We've built this doc and included it in the template with links to articles and videos to help you get the most out of this template. So if you want to really dive into these things step by step, come down here and check out this information. Packed full of good stuff. But you can also use docs as a team to, for example, brainstorm ideas. Also, you can build, like a nice editable report, which you can then export as a PDF simply by coming up here to the 3 dots. And we can export these very easily. And it's a really convenient place where everybody can collaborate and you can see very clearly who's added what. And it means you don't have to go in and out of different platforms, right? Once you're in Monday, you can do pretty much everything you need to do to manage your nonprofit right here. So it's another nice little feature. All right, so let's take a bit of a deeper look at the grants pipeline. How does this guy work? So let's imagine that we've been searching the web and we've just found a new grant, right? We want to add that grant to my active grants group. So let's imagine that we're an environmental organization and we just found the winter 2025 environmental protection grant. Okay. Now, as soon as I press enter to create this item, several things are going to happen automatically. Okay, because on this board, on this template, we've actually already built 3 automations. So watch what happens. I'm not doing anything here, but the status of this new item should automatically turn to new. There we go, right on cue. And then the number 1, 2, and 3 should appear, there we go, next to the name of the grant. Okay, these are 2 automations that we've added. I'm going to sound a bit like a broken record, but yes, they are customizable. You can change them, you can delete them, you can add to them. These automations are triggered by the creation of this item. And what does it mean here, the number 3? Well, these are sub items. So if I expand this item, you can see the tasks that I need to complete in order to apply for this grant. And the idea is that you'll go in here and actually give this a bit more detail, right? So the things we need to do are draft a letter of intent. We need to prepare financial reports. And what else do we need to do? Let's keep it simple. We actually need to submit the grant itself. That's going to be a task. And although, up here I could assign myself, for example, as the main overall owner, I can maybe delegate some of these other tasks. So for example, letter of intent, I can delegate to Sarah. The financial report, maybe that's going to be done by Iran, let's say. And then of course, I will be the one submitting the grant overall. So the grant is due, again, let's just keep it simple. Let's say the end of the year. And I can break down these deadlines so that we make sure we're hitting things on target. So let's say I want Sarah to have the letter of intent drafted by the 7th, the financial report maybe a week later, and then let's give myself a bit of leeway. I want to make sure I'm not missing this deadline. So let's say instead of the 31st, I'll have the grant ready to submit by Christmas Eve. Boxing Day, 26th. Now, I can also communicate with my team inside Monday as well. Don't need to then open an email or pick up my phone and send a WhatsApp or a Slack or whatever it might be. I can actually send the messages right here within Monday. Now, Sarah has been notified that she's been assigned a task automatically within Monday. But I can also add here comments and discussions around the letter of intent. I can say, for example, at Sarah, and it will now be tagging her specifically. Do you have the LOI from the grant we submitted to this org last year? Okay, now it's very clear who wrote this, when it was written, to who it was written, but it's also something which everyone in my team can see. We can all collaborate on this. Someone else can jump in and say, no, but I know where it is. Here it is, and include it. So the communication is really clear in Monday. In the old days, we opened the name of the person, whether it's an email or a text message or whatever, and then we wrote to them. Now that meant, first of all, that it was sent just to them, and it was lost presumably in a long thread of other communication with that person, and means no one else can see it and find it. Whereas here, we've gone to the thing we're talking about, the drafting of the letter of intent, and we're commenting and adding communication on top of that. Now, here's the notification center. So I've got one new notification. Sarah will have got 2 in the last few minutes, and she should see a red 2 pop up here. But you can also control what happens with these notifications, right? By default, it'll also send you an email saying, hey, check your Monday account. That's great if you're new on Monday and you're not in here every day. But if you are using Monday all the time, you can, guess what? Customize that. You can say, I don't want to be notified every time I get a notification, too much. But maybe you want to turn it on for some people, that's fine. You can also integrate Monday with other platforms and have it send you a message other places, if that's the best way for you to work. And now we also have here a file column. So just like I mentioned before with this Monday doc that we built, you can also add your docs in here. Now, maybe you've got a different software that you're using. And I'm not here to tell you scrap all of your software. If it works for you, amazing. Let's try and keep your work as simple as possible. The last thing I want to do is give you more work by making you move stuff over that's not necessary. So if you've got a team that's used to preparing financial reports in Google Sheets, okay, maybe that's where Iran likes to work, that's okay. He can keep working there, and I can link the file that he's creating to Monday here. But genuinely, the best and most streamlined way of working is if you do it all on Monday, and we could add here a Monday doc. Now, if I've already got an existing, doc that I want to include here, I could find it in my account, or I could make a doc template. Maybe, every financial report has the same basic structure, so I can build a template and then make changes. For now, we don't have a template, so let's just add a new one. Again, it's going to be very easy to find because it's here in the item, and this is our new doc, right? I can communicate with people. I can also include different formatting. I can also embed things from other boards in my Monday account. I can even embed things from the web, images, pictures, videos, and make this into a really nice live dynamic document. Pretty cool, no? Amazing. Let me just check the time, how we're doing. Okay, perfect. We're just coming up to about halfway. So let me maybe now just take a look with you at the automations, see how these work, because this is where things truly get fun. So we mentioned that there are 3 automations on this board. You do have up to 25,000 automations every month available to you for free on the nonprofit program. So you can really have a lot of fun with these. We saw 2 automations already in action, this one and this one. When an item is created, right? We created an item, so that triggered this automation. Create a sub-item and a sub-item and a sub-item. And we also saw when an item is created, and only if it's in the group called active grants, set the status to new. That's how that status here automatically was set to new and how these 3 sub-items appeared. But what we could do is we could actually kind of go up the chain one level. We could actually change the way this automation has been built. You are perfectly entitled to do that. I could change, right? This is how it was created for us. When we created that new grant, it was called task name 1, 2, and 3. But I could actually put in the names of those tasks here at this level. And as soon as I add a new grant, it will add these pre-populated tasks as sub-items. Right? Maybe the letter of intent, maybe Sarah is the best writer in our team. She's always going to be the one assigned to this task. I'm unlikely to be able to pre-assign the date or the status, but I can assign the name and the owner here at this stage. And maybe Iran is our finance guy, so financial report that can be owned by Iran. And then, we always need to have a submit grant task. Maybe that changes. I'll leave that one blank. But I can also come to the plus here and add other actions, maybe other sub-items, or maybe other things will happen. All possible through the automation center. So let's just take a look maybe at this automation, and also maybe we'll take a look at this one, which says when status changes to submitted, move the item automatically to this group called grant submitted. So first of all, let's add a new grant. Let's just call it test grant for now. And we'll see if that automation is a little bit different. Okay, the first one is the same, adds the new status. And here we should see the 3 new tasks automatically appearing. Isn't that a thing of beauty, just to see the work being done for you? I love it. And now let's imagine that we've completed this grant and I've changed its status to submitted. It should automatically now move down to the grants submitted group. Oops. Here you go. Now, of course, we are just scratching the surface here, right? There's so much more that we can do. We can be automated. We can automate reminders on these things. We can automatically generate new content, all sorts of stuff here. But I hope this gives you a little bit of a flavor of what is possible when it comes to managing grants. And of course, I'll repeat this probably 100 times in today's session, you don't have to work exactly like this. If you have a different flow, you want to add different elements, feel free. Maybe grants isn't your thing and you want to manage complex fundraising events. You can manage events on Monday.com as well. Great. So, Eric, unless there are any kind of pressing questions, what I'll do is move on now to the donor management piece, and then we'll pause before the end for a kind of general Q&A. So, all good to continue? All right. So let's then come here and add our next element. I'm going to go again to the template center. Only this time, I'm going to download the donor management solution. And this one, just like the grants, has several different elements, all kind of working together to give you a really comprehensive donor management solution. Now, what we've done in this solution is we've kind of divided up the donors. So we almost have like a CRM, a list of donors where you can nurture them and encourage them eventually to donate, and a separate board where we list all of the individual donations as they come in. And those two are connected so that we can attribute a $100 donation on the 1st of January from Mr. J. Smith to the donor named John Smith. So this is our first board. This is our DRM, if you like, our CRM, our donor list with some basic information about our donors. Of course, again, it can be customized. So if it's also important for you to know, your donors' addresses, we can add a location column, and then I can put in here where they live. Not a lot of money coming out of this address recently, but that's how it goes. Okay, we can say you live in Giza and you live at, 1 Main Road. You can put in anything you need here. Or you can leave blank if you want to. And then, of course, we have, like I said, the second board where the donations are listed. So here you might see a few names appearing more than once, right? Phoenix has given 4 different donations on 4 different dates of 4 different amounts, but they're all connected back to an overall donor profile. So you kind of get the best of both worlds here. Now, we also have a board to track the activities that we're doing with our donors. Those shouldn't all appear here. It's a bit messy. Apologies for that. We should only see these 2. These are the meetings, the calls, the tours, whatever it is you're doing with your donors to keep them engaged. And I know that's sometimes very difficult, and having a system in place to kind of help streamline that donor engagement can be a massive, massive win. So, actually let's add another activity here for, let's say, Lorenzo Harvey. We can edit these labels. Maybe, you run soup kitchens and you want to give him a tour of the facility. So we can change the label here. I can be in charge of this one. We'll set this up for Friday, and it's connected here to Lorenzo's donor profile. So if I need to see a list of my activities, I have that here. This is where I can, manage my schedules and delegate the work and so on. If I need to see a list of my donations, I can do that here. If I need to send a thank you note or a donation receipt, I can do that here. And if I need to understand holistically what's going on with my donors or, nurture them, I can do that here. The best place really for all of the kind of overall highlight stuff is in this section. Every item in Monday has this little update section. And in this solution, it's really, really powerful. If I start over here and then we'll kind of work our way around clockwise, I'll go through each of these different elements. So the first one is pretty obvious. It's our basic information about our donor. Name, email, phone number. This is also customizable. We can come here and edit the layout. I can add, for example, in this area, the new column that we just added, the address column, maybe. I don't have an address for Madison, but I can add one. There you go. Congratulations, you live in the Coliseum, Madison. And so I get a nice little summary of what's going on with the basic information of Madison. As I scroll down, I get a summary of all of Madison's individual donations. This is being pulled from the donations board. Here I have a summary of all of Madison's activities, so it's filtering out other people's and just showing me hers. And then the really special one is up here, emails and activities. I can actually schedule activities with Madison and send emails directly from here. I don't need to go to the other boards, and I certainly don't need to leave Monday's platform to open my calendar or send an email. I can do everything from right here. For example, we gave a site visit to Lorenzo. Let's also schedule one for Madison. I can click here on site visit, put in the time and place. Let's say, I don't know, 10 a.m. for half an hour on the 28th. You can also leave comments here. For example, I can again mention colleagues. So if I wanted to, assign this to a different team member, I can do that, and then I can add it. Now this is added here a note. So again, if I want to see Madison's overall profile, I can track it here. But it's also added automatically an activity here in the donors activity board. You see? So again, we get the best of both worlds. Here we can see all of our activities. Here we can see everything that's going on with an individual donor. So that was the activity part of emails and activities. What about sending an email? Click of a button here. It's going to open me this pop-up where I can write Madison my email. Now, you can integrate Monday with dozens and dozens of different software. We've got free organic integrations with most of the biggest software names out there, the Gmails, the Outlooks, the Microsoft Teams, the Stripe, the Slack, all these kind of big companies integrate with Monday for free. Now, I've already integrated 2 Gmail accounts with Monday. So I just choose the one I wanted to send from, and I'm away. If it's the first time you're setting it up, you will see a slightly different button here. It'll say connect to your Gmail account. You click a button, put in your username and password, check a box to say you allow Monday and Gmail to speak to each other, and that's it. They're now synced up. If I send an email from here to Madison, I can delete the Monday branding, and it will look like any other email being sent from my regular email account. It'll have my regular email signature. It'll appear in my regular email inbox and outbox. If Madison replies to me, it will appear in my regular inbox. But it will also automatically appear here. So I have that full thread of communication visible here. And it means that if I get sick or move to a new organization or go on holiday, people can track the communication we've had, and they can jump in and continue that relationship building. Of course, if I want to send private messages, I can also do that too. But by default, it's going to be open to people. And for example, we could say, something like, thank you for being a great donor. I don't have to say, hi, Madison, right? This isn't writing an individual email. I can make this dynamic. Okay, I'm going to remove the name Madison. Instead, I'm going to come down here and pull information from the columns in my board. I can say, hi, item name, and obviously it won't put in Pulse name, it'll put in the name of the donor, in this case, Madison Doyle. And other things are possible too. I can say, you donated, donated, and we're so thankful. Whatever, right? You can put in the text that you want to here. You can format it nicely. You can even have AI help you write it, and you can then save it as a template. So that if, after a year of them being a donor, you always want to send the same templated email, you can set that up here, and it will just be ready for you to use each time a new donor kind of reaches that threshold or the date arrives, right? Very easy to do. I can click on send, like I said, it will appear in my regular Gmail outbox, and it will also appear here in this thread. I'm also able to track when it was opened, by who, if someone replies, all things which are not that easy to do actually, even in regular old Gmail. So it's a very, very cool feature. A new feature, which is also very fun, is that I can batch select multiple donors like this and send them mass emails. Mass emails can be built, in a nice designed way, and then they'll be tracked up here in the top left. So I can see, the open rates of an email, how many have clicked on links. Most of this is just tests, so don't be thinking I'm sending terrible emails out. But these are all features which you usually have to pay quite a lot of money for, in the MailChimps and SurveyMonkeys of this world, HubSpots, and you're paying big money for being able to track mass emails like this. So it's a pretty cool feature. As well as sending mass emails that way, if I come here to the integration center, first of all, we can see all the software that we integrate with for free. And you can also see, for example, the Gmail integration comes with pre-built recipes, right? You don't have to do it manually. We can add any of these recipes to our board, and then it can run in the background automatically, right? Every time period, send an email to someone, right? I could have an annual email going out automatically, or when a new item is created, send an email to someone, meaning as soon as a new donor appears in the board, maybe automatically we want my Gmail account to send them a welcome, right? And you can add any of these to your board. Okay, perfect. One more thing then I want to show you, my friends, before we stop for a Q&A to wrap up today, is the uploading of new data. So I have here a piece of kind of test data that I've prepared earlier. Now, I will confess that in a lot of the Monday training videos, they make uploading data look so incredibly easy. And it is if you've prepared your data the right way. So if you are going to be uploading data, don't try and upload something like this, okay? It's messy. There are columns which are mislabeled, and there's information in wrong places. There's all these weird kind of labels and unnecessary columns and rows. If you can get your data looking something like this, it's a dream. It really is so simple to upload, but it does require sometimes a little bit of editing to get it looking like this. But if you're working with a different donation processing software or your bank, you can almost always download reports in some kind of spreadsheet format, probably a CSV or an Excel file, and then upload them to Monday. Like I know very few software which don't allow you to export into a file type like this. And once you've got your, in our case, list of donations ready, I'm going to download this from Google Sheets. I'm just using Google Sheets because it's free, either as a CSV or an Excel file. So I've got a hard copy now. And let's now go to my donations board. And I'm not going to create a new donation here by clicking on the new donation button. Instead, I'm going to click here on the drop-down triangle, and I'm going to import an existing list. And today we're uploading that list that I just created, but if you've got a list of volunteers you want to upload to a volunteer board, or a list of existing projects you want to upload to a project board, all completely possible. So step 2 is just mapping the columns, right? The system's pretty smart. I had a column on my spreadsheet called name, and it's saying, I'm going to put it in the column called donation, which is actually correct, right? We've named our donations after the donors, so that's what I want to happen. The phone column, I actually don't have on my donor board, and that's okay. Sorry. The phone column I don't have on my donation board, and that's okay, because I do have it on my donor board. So I'm going to skip this column. I can do that as well. The email hasn't matched automatically because the name is a bit too different, but I can tell it I want the email column in my spreadsheet to go to the donor's email. These two columns have mapped because the title is exactly the same. Donation amount USD is slightly different from what we've called it on the board, but again, we can map it ourselves. So you can choose to connect it to an existing column, to skip it, or to create a new column. It's really up to you. Then we say continue. The final step is to decide what we want to do with any duplicates. I know there are no duplicates in my data, but you could choose to override or skip right at this stage, so you make sure your data is as integral as possible, so that you don't have any duplicates or information that's going to mislead you, like multiple donations coming in from the same person that are actually just multiple copies of the same one. So that's a really important step. For us, though, we can simply say start import, and it will create a new group for us with all of the donations coming in. So you can see how quick and easy that process was. I did it for donations, but you can do it for any one of your things that you're managing on Monday, donors, grants, whatever it is. Come up here and you can import them. Now, you can also, last thing I'll say about the import, create a brand new board based on the way your old data looked. So what we did just then was we added information to an existing board. But if I come here to the plus and come to import data, I can actually, first of all, choose from a much wider range of sources. Like if you're already working in Asana or Basecamp or any of these other ones, you can upload from them directly, and then it will create a new board based on the way your old one looked. So if you like your old system, you can upload it into Monday, and you don't need to sort of fit a square hole into a round peg. You can invert that, peg into hole, you get me, and build something just the way it was before, only in Monday. So yeah, it works roughly the same way, just with two slightly different outcomes. So I think, my friends, I will stop that whistle-stop tour of Monday.com's fundraising solution. I hope that gave you a fun little sample of just some of the things that are possible with this incredible, incredible platform. There is obviously so much more that we could have shown, and so much more fun you can have with Monday. I do have other public courses available if you want to learn how to manage volunteers or tasks or projects. You can sign up for those in that same page we looked at earlier, monday.com/nonprofits. You'll find all of the public trainings and stuff that we're offering. All of the things that I do for nonprofits are available for free. So you're not going to be, thrown in the deep end and left on your own. There are open consultations and these training courses and templates to help you along the way. And you also have access to our amazing customer support team. If you click up here at the question mark and support and learn, you can read dozens and dozens of articles and videos, anything you're having trouble with, or you can start a live free chat 24 hours a day, either with a brilliant AI-powered bot or with a live human. So if you have any challenges, you don't need to wait for me. Jump in here any time of day or night. Problems can be solved really easily. Let's see what the AI bot does with that. Admittedly, a pretty simple question, but usually the AI bot does very well, even with more complex stuff. It's got access to everything that's ever been written in Monday or about Monday. So it usually is able to provide a pretty good answer and even links to other stuff as well. So here we go. Step by step. Do you need more help? Check out this article. What more could you ask for? All right, my friends. So thank you all very, very much. Let's take a look now at the chat and see if we can answer everything that people wonder about in the next 10 minutes or so.
Awesome. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to put those in the chat now. I have some questions that we can start with if people are still thinking or don't know what to ask. I know that just because we've been using Monday for probably like over a year now, and this is probably a bigger question than we can like get into right now, but can you tell everyone a little bit about like the different platforms that Monday has inside the platform?
That is a great point. It's something I didn't really get into. So at the very beginning, I said you get 10 free seats on monday.com. That's actually not strictly true, because we now have 4 different products within monday.com. Until a year or two ago, what did monday.com make? It made monday.com. That was it. But for pretty obvious business reasons, it makes sense to have multiple products that paying customers can spend more money on. So there are now 4 different core products, all kind of based on the same infrastructure. Like it all looks and feels about like Monday. But you actually, as a nonprofit, have access to all 4 of those. And technically, you get access to 10 free seats on each of the different products. And they could theoretically be different people. So yeah, hypothetically, you could have 40 people using Monday.com for free. Probably you're going to want to have some overlap, but it's possible. So the product that we worked on today was Monday CRM. And that's great for doing anything to do with managing people. Really, the product was designed for managing sales flows, turning a lead into a deal, and so on. But it works great for managing donors and volunteers and stuff as well. The core Monday that was just rebranded, what Monday always used to be, is now known as work management. That's perfect for managing tasks and projects and so on. There's also a new product called Monday Service, which is a kind of ticketing app, right? The classic use case would be a big company which has an IT department. People have issues during the day. They submit a ticket to the IT department. They're able to kind of prioritize and solve these tickets, mark them as done. In the nonprofit space, if what your nonprofit does is provide services, so not necessarily fixing someone's broken computer screen, but maybe offering mental health support, or maybe you renting out first aid kits. I don't know. I'm thinking of ideas. You could use Monday Service for that really well, but it is a little bit more specific. And then the 4th product is probably, if I'm honest, the least likely to be relevant for nonprofits. It's Monday Dev, which is a product development tool. So if you're working in sprints to iterate on a product and develop stuff, it's a really good tool for that. So it may be relevant, and you have free access, and as you do to all 4 of those different products.
Awesome. I have another question as well. It can be, I know as a person that's worked for nonprofits for a long time, and especially for small nonprofits, it can sometimes be a little overwhelming to get into a new software, especially for a small team. In your experience, what piece of advice could you give nonprofit staff, nonprofit leaders that are interested in an opportunity like this, but are maybe a little bit intimidated by the process, or they don't know where to start?
That's a great question. I think, first of all, don't try and do too much at once. There's so much you can do on Monday, but you don't need to put every single piece of your work into the platform on day one. I would suggest pick a nice, simple use case, which is maybe a little bit contained. I think the perfect first place to start is something like a simple to-do list, task management, right? And managing donors and grants is great, but it's got a lot of moving parts, right? If you just want to get started, put down the 10 things you're working on this week, check off the box as done when they're completed, right? It's a nice, easy place to begin. And then you can build up to something like the donors and grants and explore all these amazing features. Another thing I'd say is, in any team, you're going to have people who are attached to their software. I'm a Zoom person, I'm a Teams person, I'm a whatever, different software. The best way to kind of convince someone or show them the value, I think, is, again, not like overwhelming them with all the different stuff Monday can do at once, but ask them, like, what are your pain points? What in your current daily work is really difficult for you? What do you wish you could automate? What do you wish you could be notified about without you lifting a finger? See if you can find a solution to their specific challenge. And if you can show them that, sometimes their eyes light up and they're like, oh, wow, okay, this can actually do a lot for me. And then they're going to be a lot more kind of open to jumping into a new software. Because let's be honest, even the best software in the world, which I think Monday is, does have a learning curve, and it is going to be some time needed to get things set up. So getting the team on board early is important. And I think that's a good way to start. Build up a bit of hype around the water cooler before you get into it.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, I'm not seeing any questions, so obviously you just covered every single possibility. We want to thank Monday for hosting this today. I know I learned some new things, which I'm very excited to try out in in our tool. So thank you again. If anyone has any other questions or would like to learn more about the software, where is the best place for them to go? Who can they reach out to?
Yeah, absolutely. So money.com/nonprofits. That's a main page where you can create your account and then do all the rest of it, apply for eligibility and so on. You can visit our Success Hub where you'll find all the things we're offering for nonprofits. So like I mentioned, I'm leading these other courses on different topics. That's where you find those. You can also find links to open consultations where you can just join me. We also have paid opportunities, right? If you do want something a bit more in depth, one-on-one, and you've got the budget for it, you can work with an external partner who's a nonprofit expert who can actually build this stuff for you. That's listed there as well. And if you have platform specific questions, the best way, like I showed, is just to open the platform, click on that question mark icon on the top right, and start a chat. Like I said, either with a bot or a human. For platform stuff, that's really good. And for all things related to me and the nonprofits, you can visit money.com/nonprofits, where you find everything listed in the Success Hub.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Alex. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today. And we'll see you next time.
Brilliant. Thanks for having me, Eric. Thanks everyone for joining. Bye-bye.